It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spill with me, Jenny D. Jenny D. Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining me with another episode of Spill with Me, Jenny D. It's January. I am so excited for this episode today because he's my really good friend. This is Tyler. Tyler is the owner of Stronger Personal Training, which has really saved my life. I was in such a rut last year, 2024. Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah,
25.
going into
25.
26, yeah.
Yeah, it's 26. And it was like January, February, and I was like, I need help. And thank God I found Stronger Personal Training because I didn't realize weight training was important for women my age and women going through a kind of like, menopause. We can actually say that word now. Women are actually talking about it. But when you go there, you feel so comfortable. Tyler's going to tell us a little bit more of where he came from, why he's doing what he's doing. But it's almost like the point of, you would think at my age that I would know how to take care of my body. But when you are in that rut and you do not feel good, the last thing you want to do is go to a big gym and feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But with Stronger Personal Training, there's 6 of us, and I'm going to have Tyler talk about this more. So, Doc, I call him the Doc. Tyler, tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and why do you do what you do?
Sure.
Is that too many do's?
So my background is doctor of physical therapy, and why I originally wanted to be a PT was because I wanted to bridge the gap between strength conditioning or personal training, as many people know it, and then physical therapy. Like I thought, the two there's too much of a bridge between the two. Let's make that bridge smaller and kind of bring the two together, right? Now, originally, I wanted to do that for athletes, as most people do,
right?
Just because athletes seem like they're going to be a lot more fun, and then they're going to be a lot more intriguing, and they are, right? But if you ask most trainers, like with athletes, does come a little bit of a frustration, just in the sense of it's a seasonal thing and stuff like that. And it's funny, like as I got older, I was noticing that the older population, and I say that loosely, right? Older meaning like above 40 years old. There was a really big need for them, right? And then also becoming a father, like I just realized that you see, and it's funny because people call me young, but realistically, if you look at people my age in their 30s with kids, a lot of them look like they're 40s. There's some that look like they're 50, right?
Right.
And you just see the downward spiral happen, right? So generational health really became a focus of mine of like, let's focus on the parents first, because then that is going to trickle down into their children. And if they don't have children, obviously there's kids in their life that they can become a better role model for. And that's kind of how you change the world, right? You change it by the root of the foundation, right, of the family and of the community. And that's typically the parents, and then they can kind of.
When did you figure that out? Like you were like, you know what, I want to help out, people that are over 40, that there's a niche market for that, because we do. After you turn a certain age, you're like, I can't lift weights. I'm too tired,
Yeah. I mean, it's my career transition has been so interesting. You can almost say I backtracked, right? Because when I originally became a physical therapist, I was offered a job in a skilled nursing/nursing home facility. Which is crazy now to think about it. But I mean, I was working with people who were in their mid 70s up to 100 plus years old. Obviously, you're making the change just for them at that point. But then as I went through my career, I worked with middle-aged, a little bit younger, and then obviously athletes. And athletes are great, but athletes come and go quickly, right? they need what they need right now, and then they go and they do
Oh,
their
that's
thing.
true. I never thought about that.
Yeah. Now, granted, like some are a little bit more proactive, right?
Right.
But for the most part, despite what people think, a lot of athletes don't like to work out. They want to do their sport. Working out is just the end to the, or like the middle to the end to the means, right? So I really noticed throughout that process that working with people 40, even 35 and up, they tend to be, there's a lot more gratitude there. There's a lot more belief there. And you can make way more of an impact there.
That's so true.
So
it's so true. And you know what? When you do get it, then you have money. Because, think about this too.
Yeah.
When you're, over 35, me in my 30s, I was having babies. Mm-hmm. So I was really putting my health and fitness and wellness on hold. So I was like, okay, well, when am I going to do this? And I was doing the same thing, going to a big gym and just kind of like talking to people. But I was like, hey, I went to the gym today, but I didn't get anything out of it.
Sure.
So when did you start Stronger Personal Training?
So now it's been about a year and a half ago. Originally,
oh my God, really?
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's been there.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I've been
your location.
I've been doing this now for over 5 years, for 5.5 years. I won't go too much in the backstory because I don't want to really involve other things.
No, we have another episode.
Yeah, but anyhow, but like I've been doing this personal training journey for people 40 and up for 5 years now. So it seems that way because the experience is there. Just Stronger by itself is a little newer. So
what do you think that it's like now that you've been doing it and you've been meeting, your clients, and what do you hear from them the most about what they're doing with this personal training? Because it's a small group. Mm-hmm. Why did you only pick 6?
Oh, well, I always joke because 6 is my favorite number. But it's funny if you do ask a lot of personal trainers who do. So let's back up there, right? Let's talk about what personal training is because people don't really know.
No. They think it's one-on-one and you're spending a lot of
money. So we were talking about offline here, but the issue that the general population has is the same issue that personal trainers have, is that everybody thinks that all gyms are for all people and all people are for all gyms. Yes. And that's very wrong. That's a good point. And I mean that in the sense of, and I mean that from both ends, right? Coaches make the same mistake, is that everybody thinks that everything is kind of personal training, aside from even going to local gyms, right? Or like a big box or a public gym. People think that just because there's a worker on the floor with a polo on, ironically.
They always have a polo. And they get the cleaning spray stuff.
Right, yeah. They think that like just because that person is walking around and able to answer questions for them, that's personal training. And really it's not. It's some young kid who has no experience, who is just needs money to for whatever.
Right. You can't ask him questions. Forget.
Yeah.
What do I do? And that's the terrible problem. My dad goes to the gym, and I think to myself, does anybody even say to him? And they probably wouldn't do that. But like, hey, you're not doing this exercise right, or you're not getting anything out of this exercise. I almost feel like, I've been doing a disservice to myself by going and just thinking I'm doing everything right.
Yeah. And there are parts to that too, right? And it's funny because people always ask me, because of my background, because of my experience, when I go to a public gym, like it's like a all you can eat buffet, right?
It is, you're right, it is.
But for me, like I have a very strict rule that I do not give unsolicited advice, because I've been given that before by people, and I was doing a thing a certain way for a reason, and someone butt in and tried to strong arm me into that they knew more, and they didn't really understand what was going on. But nowadays it's really tough too, right? Being a younger guy at a gym approaching somebody, like there's a weird stigma with that now too, so you have to watch. But anyhow,
people have their headsets in and they don't want to be bothered.
Sure, exactly. Some people just go there to get that hour to themselves, and that's it. But like when there's obviously open gyms where, and this is the thing, is a lot of fitness enthusiasts think that like they have bought the rights to go to a public gym and do their own thing, and many of them follow a horrible program. they find something online and think it pertains to them, but it's not. It's not customized. It's not personalized to them or what they should be doing. They think what they're doing is right. Um, but it's cheaper, obviously. Like, it's cheaper to go there. Like,
Right.
for the most part, they're not going to hurt themselves. Like, research shows that really, like, very few injuries happen in a gym, despite even CrossFit. People think CrossFit was like, but it's not really that many injuries that happen.
Right.
Not saying you can't, right? But
Yeah.
still.
Well, your back though, that they were like moving tires. I was like, are
can.
you kidding me?
Yeah, can. But then there's like large group is like the next step down. So like large group is where you're going to places like a boot camp style place, right?
Yes.
But you can have up to 30 people in those a lot of times. And try being one coach and look over 30 people.
Right. And you're doing the action. They're doing the exercise
Yeah.
most of the time. So they're paying attention to them. It's
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm doing this right.
Yep. Right. And so like there's that aspect of it too. Like, so when you're paying for something like that, like, yes, it's more expensive obviously than an open gym, but it's less expensive than personal training. But you have to understand, like, there is a give and take there. Like, the give is, or the take, excuse me, is it's costs less, right?
Right.
The investment's lower. But the give is the fact of, like, you have someone who's looking at potentially 30 other people.
Right.
And not to mention, like, the weights aren't personalized, the things aren't personalized. It's really more of, and again, different strokes, different folks, right?
Right.
And then you get into like more mid-size. So this is anywhere from like 8 up to like 15 people in a group. That you don't see this very often because this is like a jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. But a lot of boot camps will still try to do this. Very similar, like, so to the long-winded way to answer your question, right?
Yes.
The reason being I work with 6 is, if you ask a lot of gyms, like, once you get over 6 people, it starts to become more of a larger class, and it's really hard to personalize things for those people.
I never thought about that.
So, what we do is we call it semi-private personal training, where it's 6 people or less in a session, and we can keep it a little bit more personalized. And then obviously with that, the investment's a little bit higher, but it's very personalized to the person in front of you.
You're getting a lot more out of it.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
A lot of personal attention. The overall size of the gym is typically smaller in the sense of the clientele amount. So there's a lot more personal touches that happen both in and out of the gym. And then obviously there's one-on-one personal training. This is the highest ticket you pay for, but it's the most personalized it can be. But it depends,
like you got a wedding or you're going on vacation,
sure,
and you really want to get this like extra weight or some muscle tone, that's when you really invest in just doing one-on-one.
And there's some people too that just, they don't want to be in a group. Like, group settings are nice because the energy's there, you have other people there, it doesn't feel as much like working out. But for some people, like, you still feel like you have to interact with a group, right? Whereas like,
not really with what we do, when I come to class, and I love it. I love these women and these men that I've met. I would have never met them before. And I feel like when we're there, we're all there to do a goal. Everybody's focused. They wanted, they're doing their exercise. But what's so great about Tyler and Matt, and Arthur, I know, I was like, and Arthur, they have they know, okay, Jen, last week you did 50 pounds. Like, let's move it up. So they keep documents on you're like a journal of like, okay, well, you need to move this up, and you've only, oh, look at you, you've started to do this better. And so that's what I love about it. And you come over and you're like, hey, Jen, your back's, you're too over, I didn't even realize this was just like a couple of days ago, but I love that, because if I was at a gym or in a big class, like you were saying, I would not get that personal training, personal touch of like, hey, going around to everyone. And it's so fun because I see, it motivates me when I see other women that are older than me and they're lifting more weights. Like Sandy's my hero. I love her.
She's everybody's hero.
But she is the best. She's a wonderful person. And when I see her lift weights, I'm like, Sandy, you are just incredible. And I love that aspect about being there and knowing these people. We kind of know a little bit about each other. What do you do in the beginning all the time?
Oh, like the intro question.
Yes.
Yeah. I try to find like some off the wall question to ask everybody to get everybody. It's a lot of fun to do that too, and like see people, like get to know new people. Obviously, gym friends are made and things like that. So
But you don't just have that. Talk about the nights you go out, you guys do stuff. Like you don't
yeah.
just make it like
Well, yeah. I mean, despite what people think, like we are people too. Like we like to have our share of fun. Maybe an adult drink here or there, you know. So like we'll do things like happy hours, or we'll go to events together. We'll do things like that. We have a workshop, or we had a workshop, excuse me, about a month ago, to where we kind of get more people together and kind of get those conversations going, and realizing it's more than just working out, right?
right.
There's a lot more to the whole process than just working out. You have to enjoy the people you're around, people who actually celebrate you. That doesn't happen nearly enough in life, right?
That's so true. We're clapping for each other, like way to go.
Yep.
Like you don't have that. And talk about too, you bring speakers in, and you talk about like you help with nonprofits and raising funds for that.
Yeah, and the heart, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I've found that people a lot of times like to give back. They just don't always know how to, and so it takes someone to grab the helm and take the lead, and then it gives the opportunity for other people. Because people, despite what we're we think from social media, right? Like people are very giving. People want to give back. They want to be a part of a great cause. We were just on Thanksgiving. We went to a turkey run type of thing in here in Peters, and there was I can't remember how many people were actually there, but I think it was like over $50,000 was raised for families. Like it's crazy. There's a lot more giving than what people so something that, and this isn't a brag by any means. It just came up. So years ago, when I did have multiple facilities, we did a battle between the two gyms on who could adopt the most kids over the Christmas time.
Oh my god!
And I always forget that we did that. I don't know why I forget, but it was like it was so much fun to watch like two gyms battle on who's going to get to, adopt the most kids.
Well, you're kind of busy.
Well, yeah, right, yeah. But I think at the end we ended up adopting like over 15 kids. So it was really cool, and it's just take advantage of when you do have such a good community of people to do that. But
I know, and I love that, and it's like that's why I feel like that your stronger personal training is so different from any other gym that I've been to, because it's such like you said, it's friendship. You're building friendship, and you're learning about your body and what to use and to work out. Like I had no idea. For years I've been doing like the wrong thing with like deadlifts or but there's exercises that you guys come up with that I'm like, what is this? It's incredible how many different styles of exercise there are out there.
Well, I mean, working out gets boring, right? Yeah. Strength, it can get boring. So we want to be creative with that. But there's also, I have a firm belief that there's not really a bad exercise. There's just either a bad time to do it or a bad intention behind it. And so that's what we really try to help with, because some people come in with these preconceived notions, these biases. They've read this thing on the internet. They've seen this post. And so they automatically, like you mentioned, the deadlift, like a lot of people, think the deadlift is such a horrible exercise. In my opinion, I think deadlift is one of the safer things, and there's a lot of bang for your buck doing it. But again, it's just being coached correctly, right, and doing that. But
I think one of the hardest exercises that you guys had was getting off the floor without using your hands. I was like, oh my god, I could do it maybe on one. I have such bad knees, but I'm not complaining, and I'm not saying it's a cop out. But I feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I cannot get up on my own without using my hands to get myself up.
It's and that's, I think, going back to the original statement of not all gyms are for all people, not all people are for all gyms. One thing with us is because we work with a very similar clientele, you kind of get used to the wants and needs of the person in front of you, right? Because we as trainers like to think that like we have this agenda for other people, because for us is we want to get stronger, and we want to like set a personal record on how much weight we lift, or we want to have we want to be shredded or whatever. A lot of people don't really want that's not necessarily what they want, and it's also meeting people where they're at, right? There's two reasons,
That's true.
I really it really bothers me when people say like, wait till you're my age, or like, they say about like, It's funny because everybody says that. Like,
I know I do too.
30-year-olds say it, 40-year-olds say it, 50-year-olds say it. You know what? It's funny because as a physical therapist, the people who didn't say that were like 75 and older. The ones who deserve to say it are the ones that don't say it as much.
That's so true.
Because they've like, I don't know, they just don't care at that moment.
Right.
Like they've kind of learned to do what they need to do, whereas like people underneath like right?
I know. Yeah, you're like, what do you mean? What's your mind?
Right, yeah. But like age is the result of two things. It's the result of what you did when you were younger, and it's the result of what you didn't do when you were younger.
That's true.
What you did do, your lifestyle, if you drank a lot, if you smoked, if you didn't work out, if you just beat the crap out of yourself on a daily basis, the job you had, things like that stuff will come back down the road.
Right.
But in the area of like menopause, for instance, and despite what people think, like menopause kind of happens in both men and women. Obviously, with women, it's
Right.
It's
a longer.
It's more catastrophic, right?
Yes.
But guys go through a very similar thing as we get older.
That's true.
And the issue is, I looked at a post this morning, and it kind of reminded me of this, and it was really cool. Is the guy mentioned that you have to kind of earn where you're going to be when you're older, and most people don't really earn those credits, right?
Okay.
So, for instance, with like menopause, the issue is a lot of women, they don't work out. If they do, it's like they maybe get on the elliptical or something like that.
Oh, I worked out, yeah.
Yeah. Or they get on the bike. Like certain bike companies out there, right? They get on the stationary bike.
I hate the bike.
But at the same time, like they don't strength train. They just exercise. They really don't try to make the other lifestyle changes. And not to mention, like it's tough as a parent, especially if you both work. Like it's really hard to put that time in. You both have to communicate well. There has to be a conscious effort on both ends.
Right.
That stuff lacks a lot of times. Like you easily see it. And so that's what leads to not really taking care of yourself. And then once the hormonal like catastrophe does happen, now you haven't earned any credits to use. It's almost like retirement, right?
Right.
With retirement, you save, you earn, you stash away, and then when retirement happens, it's like, okay, now I have this to get me through retirement. The same thing there is where these fitness credits that you earn, whenever you do go through that moment of like a menopause, say, you haven't stashed away enough, and now the body has no reserves. That's why bone density goes down. That's why muscle mass goes down. That's why fitness levels go down. That's why cardiac issues go up. Yes, there's a hormonal change, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But you just haven't made those necessary deposits over the year, and then boom. And then the issue too is, and this is where the New Year's is always funny, is like most people try to make up for lost years in a small amount of time, and it just doesn't happen.
I mean, do you see an increase? Speaking of January, do you see an increase that New Year, new you, blah blah blah? Do you feel like why is I know we talked about this in our episode previously, but it's not we can't keep talking about it because you're right. People think like, okay, I gotta go, I gotta get to the gym, I gotta join a gym, I gotta do this, and everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think when the new year comes around, people like almost go through a midlife crisis, right? They're like, I'm going to do this one thing, and this is going to erase all the things I did last year. It's very interesting how we as humans like to make buckets, right? Like we have our 2024 bucket, or 2025 bucket, or 2026 bucket. For instance, my family, we went through a really rough time in 2025 with my father-in-law passed away. Obviously having a business, our first dog ever passed away. Our grandparents passed away leading up to, like, just a lot of things that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it for sympathy's sake, but I'm saying like there was always this like 2025 sucks. 2025 sucks. Like, why did we create this artificial start and end date to the suck?
Yes. Like, I can't wait till 2025 is over.
It's not going to change anything, right? If you start the new year with the same old engine and the same old tools in your toolbox, like it's going to be the exact same year.
Right.
You might just be a little less lucky or a little more lucky that year. And I think that's something that, and we just, so I do an email on a regular basis. I send out 4 emails a week.
Those.
Thank
Those
you.
are great.
You
motivate us.
I could blog, right? But like, I don't know why. I really like doing emails. I like to send them out. It's a little bit more fresh that way. But one thing I talked about recently on one is years ago, whenever the Biggest Loser became so popular, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And people lost hundreds and hundreds of pounds. In fact, my tattoo artist that I went to, one of his artists there was in the Biggest Loser.
No way.
But you would never know it.
Because the
guy was 450 pounds at that, like probably around 400 pounds at that point. And not, no offense to him, but this is everybody on the show. Research showed that I think it's like 95% of the people who were on that show gained their old weight back and more.
Oh my gosh.
Like something like that. I can't remember the exact statistics. Don't quote me on that. Don't fact check me. It's kind of
like all those weight, the Ozempic and all that stuff. Now it's a madhouse how people, think that that's going to be the quick fix.
Well, and like, so again, going back to why the Biggest Loser worked is because there was a start and there was a finish.
That's true.
And we like that. We like having a start line. We like having a finish line. And unfortunately, we like to think that once I get past that finish line, I don't have to do this anymore.
That's true. Like, I'm good to go now.
I'm good to go. Yeah. And that was the same thing there. And the Biggest Loser was even worse though, because they created the optimal environment for you to lose all that weight.
Trainer, a dietitian, and people motivating you.
TV is accountability, right? And then you rip it all away, and then they have nothing, right? Except depression at that point, because all that stuff goes away. And it's the same thing for us. Like, I think the start of the year is like that starting line, and then the end of the year is that finish line. And we just, I don't know, like, we don't like to think about our future selves. We don't like to think what it's going to be like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Right.
I have a 5-year-old. Like, we just went through the best time of year of Christmas with him because, like, they bring the magic back to it, right? And talking to people who have older kids now, and they're like, oh, like, you're at such a good age. Like, it's sad to think in a few years, he's not going to care as much anymore as he used to.
Time goes fast.
It does.
It really does. And you're right though. Like, you have to find these outlets for yourself, for your mindset, because I think that we get that, after the holidays, like I did some episodes in December about holiday blues, and they're really about people who are alone or feel alone, or they say to themselves, I just can't be happy during the holidays because I have anxiety, I'm stressed out. What would you say to somebody that they come into January and they just feel so awful? And because there are some people that won't go to the gym because they feel like, forget it. I got all this weight gain. I can't do anything about it. What would you say to someone who really needed like mindset, like help with that?
Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say is a little bit of back part to this is we're all hypocritical.
Yeah, we are.
We're all hypocrites. And here's why. Because we like to spend money or spend time or spend energy towards all these things except ourselves, right? Look at it through the holiday season, right? The amount of money that people will spend on presents is crazy, is insane. Like, why? Why are we spending all this money on presents for all of these people, right? And it's the same thing as investing, right? If you talk, investing 101 is take 10%, 5 to 10%, right? And you invest it towards your retirement or yourself first, and then you figure out what to do with the rest of the money later, right?
Yeah.
We don't do that with ourselves. We don't think like, okay, I'm going to invest this in myself first and then figure everything else out later.
Right.
And then what ends up happening is, because we don't invest that, we invest that time, that money, that energy into everything else. And then on the back end, we're like, all right, I have 30 minutes left to go for a walk.
That's so true. That sounds like me.
And then it's like, okay, well, I mean, a 30-minute walk might be okay. But if I know with like, for Nina and I, for instance, like we're very big on making sure the other person stays active. And we communicate a lot on a daily basis on how the other person can be active without who's going to take care of the kid, who's going to, who's going to take the dogs for a walk, whatever. And I think that is very important because once you've done that, then you show up a lot better for other things in your life, and you've made that investment before you've done it in all the other things. Because the issue with self-care is that, for instance, like I saw this the other day on social media, I thought it was great, and there was a woman talking about it too, which gave it even more relevance. Is she's like, getting a bubble bath is not self-care.
No.
Like, I'm sorry, you taking a 30-minute bubble bath.
I've been taking a bubble bath in so long.
Well, by the time you've reached that to where you're like, I just need a 30-minute bubble bath, like you've already went past. Right. It's like driving a car and you hit the empty light comes on, the near empty light comes on, right? Yeah. When the gas light comes on, it's already too late. Like you're already getting to the point where it's too late. You're no longer going to be able to go the rest of. And instead, we need to fill up our tank at the beginning of the trip, and then you don't have to worry about it as much the rest of the trip. And we just don't do that. I don't know why.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Do you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there was the the social worker that I had on about talking about the holiday blues. What she said that really resonated with me, and tell me what you think of this, is don't stop your routine. Like if you're I'll be like, oh, I can't get to Stronger because I'm so busy. You're open the day before Christmas Eve, and I'm like, I can't go Christmas Eve. Why can't I go Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like why can't we keep you need to keep your routine?
Sure. Yeah, consistency is the best. That's one thing that we talk about with people is if you show up and you only have 30% to give me 100% of that 30%. That's it. It's all you need to give. Yeah, it's something I'm guilty of, right? Especially when it comes to like trying to run a business and things like that, is you always think that everything's going to be perfect, right? You don't account for things going wrong. Right. And it's at the end of the year and you didn't hit your goal and you're like, WTF, why did I not hit my goal this year? Oh, well, there was an election, there was a market crash. There's like all these things happen and you're like, you didn't account for that stuff. That's life. That's how life is. And we do the same thing, right? We just don't account for things to go wrong. We think we're always going to be in the feeling the best. Like this morning, I thought I was going to be able to sleep in, and then my son came flying in the room, jumped in the bed, and wanted to lay with me. But then he drop kicked me for 30 minutes, and that didn't happen, right?
You'll miss those days,
right? Yeah, I know.
Maybe not today.
I totally agree with her, and I think too. They say that comparison is the thief of joy. I like to look at it more as expectations are the thief of joy, because we tend to have these expectations that this is how the process is always going to look. We're going to be here at the end of all this. And we tend to get too tunnel visioned on what it is, right? For instance, when people come into the gym, and I talk about this all the time, what their initial goal was when they walked in compared to what their goal is 8 weeks later is always different. Oh, yeah. People are like, I want to look better. I want to be more confident. Like that's typically 95% of what people say. I want to look better, feel more confident. But once they realize how much better they feel and how much better they can show up and how much, and even I miss going to the gym. Like if they're out for a week because of travel or because they're sick, like they always talk about how much they miss. Like those are very big parentheses, small steps that people don't think they're going to appreciate initially. And that's what you need to, because again, it's going to make things more consistent and you can keep showing up every day. Yeah, I don't know why we just tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater when things mess up. I don't know why we think that's the case, but we do.
For instance, just a couple days ago, I was there and Tyler was the trainer, And I was running in I said, you know what? I've got this lunch thing today. I shouldn't even be going to the gym. I should have can't. But I was like, no, I am not giving this up. Like I always, do my training on Tuesdays, Thursdays, whatever, and Fridays. So I'm in there and I had to leave early. And then I ran and I got dressed and I said to myself, I am so glad I went. Even if I did, like missed the last 10 minutes, but I'm so glad I even went and I got a little bit in because my mindset, I would have felt like crap all day and I would have been mad at myself for giving this lunch, you know, more important to be there networking with people than my own self.
Well, that's like, yeah. So you put that lunch before yourself. Like you could have put that
Yes.
lunch for yourself. Going back to what we said about consistency, it's funny. Have you ever seen the movie Inside Out 2?
I saw the
So
Inside
Inside
Out.
Out. So Inside Out 2, for instance. So
I'm too old for that.
one of the new characters is anxiety, right? And there's a scene
Mm.
at the end of the movie
Are they
where
blue? Do they have like blue wig? Like they're blue.
there was one of them was, yeah. So
That's
anxiety was
all I
like
know.
this small little like orange character, right? There's a scene at the end of the movie where the main character, I'm blanking on her name right now, but she starts having an anxiety attack. And what it is anxiety is doing this massive like ball of energy, like this force field around the control center of the brain, and nobody else can get into it. And the reason being is because anxiety is trying to take control of the entire situation to put well, I can't remember her name anyhow, put her like in a better situation.
Yes.
The same thing is um, we think that when we start getting in these moments of anxiety and we get a little bit overwhelmed with what's going on, we think that we're gonna get rid of these things because if we get rid of that, we are now in control of the situation because we got rid of things. And unfortunately, all that leads to is a hamster wheel of anxiety of like, I'm just gonna get rid of this, grab this, get rid of this, grab this, get rid of this, grab this, right? And we're stuck in this cycle, right?
Yeah, that's true.
For you, it was the same thing, right? You were stuck in that cycle of I got all this to do, I have this lunch to go to, blah blah blah. What going to the gym did was it reset you,
It did.
and
It reset. You're right.
and like going back to the Inside Out case, like anxiety, like it stopped her in her tracks. And there's the scene then as Joy comes in, she takes her hand off the controllers and brings her back so that everything kind of resets.
Yes.
And it's the same thing there is giving yourself that moment does allow that time to reset with fresh eyes
Right.
and just be like, this is what's actually important.
Yeah, and I love it. So, when we're there an hour. We do all the wonderful stretches too because, we don't stretch enough.
Got to move better.
Yes, we gotta move better. And I feel that when I'm there, I'm not thinking about, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, I gotta go here, I didn't think about any of that while I
Mm-hmm.
was there. And I was so mad that I had to leave early, but I knew, and I was still early, like at lunch. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have stayed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So then you kind of beat yourself up over stuff like that. But I feel like, with January and your mindset, and you just gotta, like you said, reset, recharge,
Mm-hmm.
kind of get your, because I know a lot of things with wellness, people are like, I'm on my diet. I don't use that word anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that starve yourself, eat later. If I want a hoagie, I'm gonna have a hoagie.
Mm-hmm.
If I want pizza, I'm gonna eat pizza. And I love that you say that to us sometimes. You're like, you know what? Don't deprive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you binge.
It's funny you bring that up. So the other day I went to, so my wife had her girls out work party. So like she worked with all girls except a male doctor. And they always have their like informal Christmas party where they go out. So they went out to eat, and Rhett wanted to get a sled. I wanted to get Rhett a sled, and so I was mentioning to Nina about meeting us to like get a sled. And there, she's like, actually, we're still out to eat if you want to come. So we go to the porch, right? And while we're there, I see one of the members there, and I like go around the corner and like look at her and wave, and she has this like embarrassed look on her face. But she comes up to me later and she says hi, and she's like, I was afraid I'd see you here. She's like, I was supposed to be working out right now, but I decided to come to happy hour anyhow. She went to happy hour with her family, right? Um, she's like, I'm going tomorrow, I promise. My response to her was, did coming here make you feel better and make your like heart feel better? And she's like, yeah, it did. I said, then that's all that matters.
I love that. Yeah, nobody wants that guilt. What was that one trainer way back when? He'd be like screaming in your face,
Mm,
like. I mean, I had this guy. He passed away, and he was a trainer, and he would be like, "Sew your mouth shut," and I'd be like, and I was like, "He's so mean."
yeah.
But you don't want that in life. You don't want someone that's like, "Oh, I see what like judging you and making you feel guilty about things," because we have enough things. Like you said, if you go out, you have a drink, or you're going to eat something, Tyler's not going to stop there and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's the thing, like accountability comes from in a couple angles, right? Why accountability is so important. And that's, I mean, I talked about, look good, more confident, but accountability is always like the third thing that people bring up. Why accountability works so well is because, for one, despite what we think, we are terrible with self awareness. Like most people don't have great self awareness. Research shows that, unfortunately. We all know that person that talks about Cindy, like Cindy's always late, and you're looking at her like you're never on time, right? But we have poor self awareness, and so it really helps to have someone hold us accountable and become more self aware
Right.
of like where we're at. That's number one, right? Because like you said, I don't care if you have pizza, hoagies, go to drink, whatever. When rubber meets the road and we sit down and you're talking about you're not where you want to be,
Right.
if we look back and we're like, okay, like
Accountability.
if we look at that, if we look back on things, like this isn't supposed to be a guilt trip. It's just simple math,
Right.
right? If you go over the speed limit all the time, simple math is you're going to get pulled over,
Yes.
right? If you follow the speed limit most of the time, simple math says you're probably not going to get pulled over, right? And so that's the accountability portion. Then there's also the other part of that too, where I always say we need to do one of two things. We can either hit the brakes or hit the gas. And having an accountability partner helps you to understand if you should hit the brakes or hit the gas.
Right.
That person that I was talking to last week about her happy hour, she was obviously hitting the gas with work too much. And that was the thing that she needed to feel better.
Right.
And sometimes that's all you need.
You need to recharge yourself.
However,
Yeah.
going back to what we were just talking about, if you come to me and you say, I'm not where I want to be progress wise, and we first visit all those small steps, like, are you feeling better? Like, when you leave here, like, how are you feeling? Are you showing up better? Like, if those things are on point, then we have to acknowledge those, right? So give yourself grace there. On the other side, if we're talking about the results and you're not getting the results you want, maybe you need to hit the gas in certain areas, hit the brakes in others. So,
Right. It's give and take. You have to it's got to be a balance of
sure.
anything that you do. But the last question I wanted to ask you, Doc, I was called Doc, is that when we're saying, if somebody's out there and they're listening and they're like, oh, that's too far for me to drive, or I don't know. I probably can't get there. I mean, talk about, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, they want to join the gym, and tell them about the time slots that are so, like, you have so many times. Like, so
Mm.
there's no excuse. If you're working all day, you've got like three or four, I don't even know how many times at night.
We have so we have an average of I say like an average of 7.5 time slots a day,
Yes.
and that's between like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean,
I love that because if I want to sleep in, like I usually come at 9 o'clock. I like to get my workout done at 9 o'clock. But like on a Monday, sometimes I like to come at 11 because I want to sleep in. So it's so nice that we have those options.
yeah. So I mean, they talk about I think it's like 7 stages to making a change, right? And the first one is there's like an awareness, right? Like an awareness you need to make a change, but that doesn't always like create the change. Um, it's funny when I have calls with somebody and we talk about their goals, what they want to achieve. They can obviously ask me questions about the gym. My goal in those calls is just to figure out if there's a fit. The fit's there. Again, Not all gyms are for all people. Not all people are for all gyms, right? Believe it or not, when they say like, "Oh, it's just not the right time for me," I'm not going to sit there and try to convince them, because if they're already saying it's not the right time for me, or I just don't have time, they're not going to make time. And I don't care what salesperson you put there who tries to throw all these like little ninja moves on them.
I'll give you a free class or a
Yeah.
free month.
It's gonna work for a week, and then they're gonna come back to that. So you have to be realistic of, are you willing to make the change? You're aware that you need to make it, but now are you actually willing to make that change? Because if the answer is no, then you're going to be exactly where you need to be, or exactly where you're going to be in the next 6 months, year, whatever.
Right.
You have to finally sit down and say, okay, I need to do this now. And unfortunately, we see that a lot more when people have something severe happen, whether it's they get diagnosed with something, they have a heart attack,
surgery,
somebody else has a stroke or a heart attack in their family, there's a death, like you said, surgery, they have a wedding coming up. Like, unfortunately, it takes a dire circumstance for them to decide to make that change,
right?
Because we're emotional people, right? That brings the emotion behind it. I caution people to, if you feel like you need to make that, find someone, because that's going to help. Even if it's not us, I don't care if it's us. Just find somebody and be willing to do that 10% we talked about and invest in yourself first, because you're not going to regret it. Something that I hear all the time from all of our members is, I wish I would have done this sooner.
It's true.
Nobody ever says to me, I did this at the right time.
It's so true.
Or I did this too early. Like, no one ever says those things. Always, I wish I would have done it sooner. And I just caution other people out there, like, if you're feeling it, jump, like, do it, because that's going to wear off, and then you're going to be in the exact same spot a year later. I promise you.
It's so true. And at least try it. I mean, it's not it's not that hard to get up and go and just try it out, because and once you do try it, to be it like stronger personal training, you realize you're like, you know what? This is great. Like, I walk out of there like, okay, I'm done. I'm good to go. Like, I got all my, body parts. I got everything, working out. I feel so much better. I feel stronger now. I'm like, feel my muscle. My muscle's not as big as ours.
Well, that's the thing too, is, like I said, but unfortunately, the time from their house to the gym is the hardest part of that. What people discount with what we do, for instance, and really this is whether it's large group, small group, whatever, the difference is with what we do is, once you show up, you do not have to do any more thinking or any more organizing anything.
I love that.
You show up, the workout's done for you, the equipment's set up for you. You don't have to worry about a sardine packed gym, right? The stations are ready for you, and that's it. Like, you just go, you just do, and then you leave, and you feel better, right? And again, it's that the hardest part is from the commute from your house to there. But you do it for work every day.
That's true.
And unfortunately, with work, the hardest part is not from your house to work. It is the 8+ hours at your work day. It's the same thing with like your kids' practice, right? Like, most people don't want to sit through their kids' practice. So like, the best time when you're taking your kids to practice is that time that you have with them in the car before they go to the practice, and you sit. We are willing to do all the grocery store, well, actually not so much anymore. The grocery store delivery is a great thing.
I know, right?
But we're willing to do all these other things and sit and commute through all these other things that do nothing for us. But that's the one area where it could benefit, and we just choose not to do it.
So if you're listening out there and you want to try this out, would they go to your website, or would you like to give them your website and your phone number?
Yeah, so you can do, so the website is strongerptpgh.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, another way to follow us. The number for us is 412-851-6046. Just shoot us a text. Text always goes better, right? But shoot us a text from our website, or you can just text that number and we'll get back to you right away. For anyone listening, I'll give a free month to whoever reaches out to us. All you got to do is mention the podcast.
Yeah, say you heard it on Jenny D. If you say you heard it on Jenny D, you get a free
3 months. Yep, 3 months personal training.
1 month?
Yep, personal training.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm pretending I'm like out disguise myself.
Well, no, trust me.
He'll know.
The pink in the personality will come out
I
quickly.
know, it's so true. Oh, Doc, thank you so much.
course.
I mean, thank you so much for being here and for what you do and really helping people and really helping me feel so much better about myself. Like you said, confidence, accountability, all these things. I just so appreciate you.
Of course, what I'm here for.
Thank you, man. This was another episode of Spill with Me, Jenny D. Take care.
Come spill with me.